I'm a good beloved, I'm this and that. But why? Why do men have to approve everything? You're standing on the top of a mountain and a precipice, and you're standing alone. There is nobody there to help. So when you crack the glass ceiling, you have to have the confidence that you can do that work alone. Don't keep, it's this whole concept of Tagore. Those lines kept coming to me, Akla Chalore. If when you call, nobody comes, keep walking, keep walking. That's the chosen path, walk alone. And everybody used to tell me that, Nishi, people say this. I said, don't worry about what people say. I am what I am, and time will tell what I am.
Greetings to one and all present here. Welcome to all our listeners, all our viewers. I welcome you all on Celebrating Self. I'm your host, Karanjot Kaur, and we at Celebrating Self, as you all know, that we come up with you so as to bring to you some beautiful examples of females around us who are doing fabulous job. Fabulous in the sense that they are not only being a good homemaker, they are not only good professional, they are not only somebody, but they're actually somebody for their own self. And that's the reason we are here, that we can celebrate our own selves. We can have a good relationship with ourselves, because that is the foundation of every beautiful relation. And with this, I'm quite honored to welcome to you our guest for today. She is Miss Nishi Pandey. She is the professor of English and director of Women's Development Center at University of Lucknow. With an experience of 35 years, she is the proud owner of many positions as the first woman appointee, the recipient of multiple scholarships, rewards, and honors on both national as well as international level. Apart from her expertise as an educationist, she is also a committed social worker, a member of many NGOs and institutions that work for the underprivileged children, especially the girl child, and she's also into women empowerment. Welcome, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking out the time to be a part of our show. It's a moment of privilege for us to introduce a personality like you. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Karanjot, for your persistence in wanting to get me onto the show. And the persistence has paid off. I'm really sorry I took such a long time to come along, but thank you very much. And I'm grateful. And what a lovely program to be titled Celebrating the Self. Because, it is within the self that all power lies. And women have to believe that it is within themselves that power lies. So your strength lies within you. As you celebrate yourself, you celebrate your strength. So thank you very much for inviting me to this lovely program.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. We are really, really honored. You have been so active socially, professionally. So, what has been the story behind it? Like, what all went behind the scene to bring you here today?
Karanjot, whenever you see a successful woman, you have to be very, very sure, 100% sure that that woman is successful because she's faced a lot of challenges and difficulties. And so to say that my life has been without challenges would be completely wrong. It's just that I took the challenges and converted them into opportunities for myself.
Right.
And so the journey has been very difficult. I wouldn't say it's been easy at all, but I'm grateful to my parents who were both doctors, and they gave us a very good and fine education. I come from a family where we are the fifth generation of educated women from my mother's side.
Wow.
So education was given a lot of importance and significance. And I grew up feeling that, I was equal to any man because my father never really uh, tied me down from doing what I wanted to do. So whether I wanted to learn horse riding or I wanted to learn how to use a gun or I wanted to do theater or I wanted to do something more exciting, I would clean the car with him. I would do everything that traditionally men did. And I do remember that he was very, very keen that I be a good student. student and I study hard, which I did, and I was a good student. I was a good sportswoman. I used to play lots of sports. And so I had a life in which I was actually getting prepared for what was to come. So whether it was self-defense or it was learning to be strong or it was learning to stand up to the boys of my age, I would get into fisticuffs and fights with boys. And when my mother came to know about it, I would get a solid slap from her because she thought that beating up boys was not a very good idea. This is 40 years back, 45 years back, maybe more because I'm 63. So I was then at 12 or 14. And my father would always, she would complain to him and he would always say that in times to come, if she does not learn to fight, people are going to squash her and walk all over. So let her learn to fight, don't react. But when he realized that I was actually fighting back with these boys, whom I thought were, not pleasant or I disagreed with, or if they were trying to misbehave, he actually began to teach me how to look after myself, how to be safe, how when to fight, when not to fight. So he would spend time talking to me casually and telling me, um, never fight when you are in a space where there's nobody else to stand by. So if you want to pick up a fight, find a place where there are other people. So if you're on a lonely stretch, do not get into the fight. Try and avoid it. Come to a space where there are people. So if you pick up a fight, so small tips like that, how to be safe within the house if you're alone, because they both had touring jobs. And when they would go, I was the eldest, and I had three other, two sisters and a brother, and I would be in charge. So how to be safe within the house, how to lock up, which lights should be on in the house so that the outside is visible to me from inside, but the inside is not visible to someone outside. Now, these were very small things, but I had a father who was actually, um, in a strange kind of way, imparting all this information and teaching me things. And I was never ever made to feel that because I was a girl, there were things I can't do. So I'll say that I was fortunate, but I did have a mother who was very concerned that I wouldn't cook and I couldn't do this and couldn't do that. And my father had a very interesting answer. I remember that she would want me to make tea in the morning and I was studying, and she'd say, "You can make a cup of tea, there's no problem, once a week." And if I'd been studying late, my father would stand up for me and he would say that, let her be, let her study. You don't have to bog her down with this. She has to do it for the rest of her life. But my mother would say, how will she do it when she doesn't know? And he said something very interesting which stayed with me. And he said that, a पढ़ी लिखी लड़की है, अगर पढ़ी लिखी लड़की है तो सब कुछ तो किताबों में लिखा है, दाल कैसे बनेगी, चावल कैसे बनेगा, everything is there in books. There are enough books for her to read and to be able to cook. So when I got married, I really didn't know the difference between jeera and methi. So my servant had to make these little packets, and mark them that this is jeera, this is methi. But when I went into my marriage with the conviction and belief that I will learn, and so I had my cookbooks and I had my mother-in-law, and I would ask her and learn from her and write down recipes. I have a full book of recipes of my mother-in-law's special masala, special achar, special vegetables. So I never felt that I couldn't do it. And so today I am a great cook. I can cook you great Greek food. I can cook you good Chinese food. I can cook wonderful Indian cuisine. So I always felt for everything in my life, I can do it. I can ride, I can use a gun, I can beat a boy, I can fight back, I can do this. Nobody told me you can't do it. So, and even when later in my life, I had people who said you can't do it, I said, of course I can do it. And I'd plunge right into it. So, this important thing was what I can understand is that this idea of self-esteem, in a subtle kind of way, without understanding or knowing, my father was actually just pushing it through into me. And he's pushed it into all of us. So all brothers and sisters are almost the same. The sisters are all doing well for themselves, achievers. One is a doctor, the other is decided. She took a conscious decision to look after her home, which was a wonderful idea. And she runs the home so perfectly. I don't think even we can run the home the way she does. So there's a lot to learn from her. So that was my life. And then I chose to take up a profession. I was a science student and I wanted to study arts. I was very fond of literature, but with great difficulty. My parents agreed because they were both doctors. And then when I excelled in arts, they were happy with that. So when I came into literature, I did a BSc degree and then came and did a master's. So there was a struggle. But because of my love for the language and my love for the work I wanted to do, I was able to do it. And it never bothered me that it was a struggle. And then also that, when I actually came into my master's program, I made up my mind that I wanted to be a teacher. I'd always wanted to be a teacher, even when I was young. My brothers and sisters would always share this story that Nishi was always the teacher and we were the students and we were playing teacher all the time. That was the major game. So my vocation, my calling was to be a teacher. And my greatest ambition in life was to be an internationally renowned scholar and a teacher. So by God's grace, despite all the difficulties in my life, today, before I retire, I can say that I'm fairly well known in my own area of study, and I'm also being able to contribute constructively to multiple things. So I loved theater. I continue to love theater. I loved cinema. I have even designed a course in films and literature for my students in the university, which
Wow.
I've been teaching for the past 15 years. So everything that I really wanted to do, I've been able to do. So my work with women, because I always thought that women needed that hand holding. What we don't understand is women need hand holding. We always think that, they can do it on their own. Of course, they can do it on their own, but you have to extend your hand. Just get them out and say, now do it. And that, little gesture of holding their hand and telling them you can do it is the impetus they need to go ahead. So while I was growing up, I had my own battles. And I thought that being a professor at the university meant I would get a lot of respect. I got a lot of respect. I got a lot of love. And I'm so grateful to God. Today, thousands and thousands of students from across the world connect with me. They have so much love. They have so many happy memories. I get my reputation as a great teacher from them. It's the students who make you a great teacher. You are not a great teacher. It's the students who learn from you who make you a great teacher. So I have that. I have the love and respect of my students, which is the greatest honor that any person can have as a teacher, and that I have, and I'm grateful for that. But what happened was that the professional space where I was a young lecturer and becoming a professor and holding all these important positions, crashing the glass ceiling, becoming the first woman chief proctor in the 100-year history, becoming the first woman dean student welfare, becoming the first woman director of, planning and development, something that goes to economics professors came to me. So, and numerous other positions. So when you are the first, and in the 100-year history of a big university like Lucknow, these positions were never given to women. And so when I did become, and how did I become this? I became this by just concentrating on my work. I was very, very sure that I only wanted to do my work. I never indulged in any politicking. I never indulged in any gossiping. I did not indulge in any activity of the kind which took me away from my focus of my work. So if my work was good, you get recognition. When you get recognition, the problem begins. So if there is one vice chancellor who decides to give you a position, there are other professors who pull you down. They will attack you. So there's character assassination. And there is, because if they see you as ambitious, they see you as if you're cunning, as if you're controlling, as if you are, trying to manipulate. And I did none of that. And everybody used to tell me that, Nishi, people say this. I said, don't worry about what people say. I am what I am, and time will tell what I am. So today, over a period of so many years, 30, 35, 40 years of my teaching, I'm a much loved and respected colleague to many of my teachers, some of whom have also been my students. So your reputation gets built by the work that you do. Don't get worried about what people are saying in life. One of the best things women can do is to not listen to people, to listen to your own heart. And my heart said, do the best. And it was a very difficult journey. I had to fight battles, pitched battles with colleagues who abused me uh, behind my back. But I took it up under the Vishakha ruling. I fought that battle. And because I had to set an example, if a professor abuses you behind your back, not in front of me, he dare not. But if he's doing it even behind your back, you need to confront it because there are other people who've heard it. You're setting an example for students. You can't say no.
Right.
So if I had not fought back, what example am I setting to my student? How can I ask a student to stand up for what is her right and to stand up for dignity when I, as a teacher, would not do it? So I made those choices to fight or to struggle because I had to set an example for my students also, and also for myself. Because I was really, really concerned that as a teacher, I should be taken seriously by my students. So life was not easy. And whenever I got a position, let me share this with you. The men around me, male colleagues, would say, oh, we are there with you. But they're never, ever there with you. Out of the hundreds, maybe just one will actually be with you. The rest try to take because this is all about power. They think that you've got power. And then they try to take it away from you in multiple ways. So it's not easy, but stay focused, stay determined, and it will work. So let me just share an example with you so that other women may learn. People say that when you crack the glass ceiling, then work is done. But let me tell women, जब आप glass ceiling को crack करते हैं, after that you're standing on a precipice. You're standing on the top of a mountain and a precipice, and you're standing alone. There is nobody there to help. So when you crack the glass ceiling, you have to have the confidence that you can do that work alone. Don't keep, it's this whole concept of Tagore, those lines kept coming to me, Akla Chalore. If when you call, nobody comes, keep walking, keep walking. That's the chosen path, walk alone. So, it's been a very difficult journey, but you have to pull that inner strength. And let me tell you, I'm a pretty brave person. I don't fear death. So I'm also responsible for having cleansed the Lucknow University of a lot of hooligan elements in 2005 and 6. I've been one of its most successful Dean Student Welfares, and I've been able to bring law and order back under the able guidance of the then Vice Chancellor, Professor RP Singh. But the fact remains that I could do it because I believed in myself. And I think my life is a testament of a person who's believed that I can do it. Even today, someone says, oh, you're retiring. I said, so what? I've got an agenda for 10 years. I've got a college that I'm the, secretary and manager of. That will be converted into a university in 10 years. Just watch. So the question is, wherever you are, however you are, keep going. I've had achievements. I've faced a lot of odds, but life is all about just getting on with the job and not listening to what people are saying. So I think that's what my story has been. It's not been without struggle. I don't want to keep describing struggles because I, in principle, don't focus on the past. In principle, I do not focus on the negative that's been there. All outcomes in my life from negative situations have been positive. All. It's never been that a negative situation has ever brought me down. Never. I've always come out of it and triumphed. And it has been a huge struggle, but yet one gets out of it and one gets on with it.
Wow.
So that's been my life.
This is truly inspiring. I was like, the whole moment you were speaking, I was like, yes, that is the booster that I needed. That is the booster that I think every woman needs, that we need to believe in our own selves. Why to wait for? Who to look for? Because you have your own journey. Nobody else is going to help you. Nobody else is supposed to come for you. You have to be there for your own self. Actually,
And
it all starts with a belief to achieve, with a belief to give a chance to your dream, to whatever you have thought of. This is truly, truly amazing. So, ma'am, this gives leads me to another question, which I would specifically like to ask you. Like, you have been through so much over the years. You have actually overcome all the problems, all the hurdles that came your way. Now, let me talk something about on the inside. On the inside, like, had you ever have any sort of anxiety or some doubt, like you thought of doing something apart from the belief that you will do it, but that one case where you felt a doubt in yourself, like, how to overcome that, how will I be able to do it, or should I go for it? How did you overcome that moment in your life?
so I'll give you something I've not shared, but a sadder part of my life was I got married. My parents got me married when I was about 24 years old, and I was then not teaching. And I was married for 15 years. It was a very difficult marriage. And there was a lot of unpleasantness going on. And my self esteem took a lot of battering because the marriage was such where there were many people in that marriage, not just me and my husband. There were sometimes many people uh, that my husband decided to bring into the marriage. And so it was a difficult situation. And I think at that point of time, my self esteem as a woman, I think the woman in me, the womanhood part, that took a little bit of a battering. And it was in those 15 years of my marriage when I was really struggling to make it work, when I was really wanting it to, be successful. I was giving my 100% into it. And it was not working out. I had self doubt. And it took me a lot of introspection and thinking about my situation, about life, whether I was willing to accept it the way it was, whether I did not want to rock the boat, because in our times divorces were not very looked they were looked down upon, and I came from a family where divorce would not have been appreciated. But it became more and more difficult to be in the situation, and at that point of time I really did turn inward, and I was in deep spiritual communion. Like, I used to meditate, I used to pray, I used to think, and I used to say, what have I done? And if I've done some karma which is responsible for this, God, let it be cleansed and let it be passing. Please, let it pass. And you lead me where you want to lead. And I would constantly pray that this is not, if it is a past karma as a Hindu, I believe it is some past karma which comes to you in this form. But that doesn't mean that you have to stay in it. So I kept on trying to work at it. And one fine day, he just walked up and he threw a paper and he said he wanted a divorce. By that time, I thought it through. Fortunately, I had no children. And I say fortunately because if there were children, it would have impacted them. But when I did not have children because of all kinds of biological reasons, not at my end, but for other biological reasons, I decided that the rest of the world and all the children in my life, my students, were my own. And I've invested my life and energy and all my mothering towards my students. And the greatest challenge is to love another's child like you would love your own, to do for the other's child like you would do for your own. So my entire mothering went towards them. And so when he did this and wanted to be free, I did not want to tie him down. And so I agreed to on a mutual agreement, I agreed to let him go. And then I devoted myself. My mother had become widowed by then. She was working, but she was widowed. My father died just in his 60s and she was still working. And then I spent the rest of my life, that is the 35 years of my life after my divorce, looking after my mother, supporting her, because we were two single women. And sadly for me, my mother at 91 passed away last year in September. But my mother lived to see me succeed. My mother lived to see, have to revel in my achievements. My mother lived a life of great empowerment. My mother, who had been so dependent Despite being an earning member, she wasn't a very empowered woman. She was educated, but the money was controlled by my dad. And these were old patriarchal systems. The money was controlled by my father. She, would never do banking herself. But after she lost my father and after I came and stood by her, one of the things I did was to teach her to be empowered. And my greatest achievement, I think, was to have given my mother that strength. My mother would live alone in her house. The children could come and go. She controlled her own money. She could do what she wanted. She got a pension. She didn't depend on any child. And by the time my mother left last year, she had given enough to her children. She had taken nothing from a single child. She had remained independent to her last days. I never got her to depend on me in a way that I could control her. You see, we use love to control people. I love you, therefore I'm doing this. I love you, therefore I'm. One of the things that I learned was to let go. I let go of my mother. I liberated her, I let her be. And my mother, I'm happy to say, lived a very happy and comfortable life. She lived longer without my father than she lived with him. She lived with him 32 years. She lived 35 years without him. And she was driving around. She used to drive her own car around till the age of, I think, 88, 86, 87, 88. She was driving herself, coming to my house, doing her own thing, going to the bank. She would do everything herself. So my job was to keep providing the infrastructure around it. The driver was there. The servant should be there. Everything's looked after, but she's on her own. She'll do what she wants with her life, meet whom she wants, go where she wants. So I think my greatest achievement has been to handhold my mother and give her that sense of the power of, owning everything. The properties are mine. The money is mine. I can do what I want to do. I can go where I want to go. I can give my money to whichever child I want. And I think that has been the most satisfying. But, the self-doubt only came during my phase of my marriage breaking apart. But, one important thing that whenever I meditated or self-reflected as to what was going wrong with the marriage, I always came up with this answer: it is not my fault. If it is something he is doing, it is not a reflection of me.
Right.
And so I never allowed that to affect my self-esteem. So I continued to teach with the greatest vigor. I continued to be a good teacher. I continued to achieve. I continued to write my research papers. I continued to work with greater fervor. I continued to invest my energy into the children in my life, and not invest my energy in the negative that was going on. Not that there was very little going on. There was a lot of bickering, a lot of, semi-violence, all kinds of things going on at home. But you have to learn to leave it behind. Women have to learn that, that is not what defines me. When you're confident about who you are, I knew I was a good person. I knew I was not doing anything wrong. That self-doubt just kind of melts away. It melts away. And you will be able to get out of it. It's a very difficult process. But I am grateful that I was into the art of living. I was into spiritualism. I was into, coming from a Brahmin Hindu family, reading, thinking of God. And then a literature person. I'd read widely of the scriptures and others. So it's a lot of learning that comes to you, and you understand that, look, it's not your fault. First and foremost, women have to stop being hard on themselves. Forgive yourself first. We don't forgive ourselves. We are constantly beating ourselves up. Oh, I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good mother. I'm not a good daughter. I'm not a good this. I'm not a good student. I'm not a good, colleague. No. We're very good the way we are. Please, don't doubt yourself. You're a good everything. But patriarchy may, because men want us to depend on them, we are always looking for validation. We are always looking for approval. I'm a good daughter. I'm a good wife. I'm a good husband. I'm a good beloved. I'm this and that. But why? Why do men have to approve everything? Why do men have to say, "Ha, you're very good"?
Actually, we are so much into perfectionism that we forget that it is our own selves who has to validate that whether we are good, whether we are fine, whether we are comfortable. So it is
No,
something.
Karanjot, it's not even perfectionism, beta. It's not perfectionism. We want, why we want that validation? We want that approval because it gives us some power. If you are your father's favorite child, you get some extra merits within the family, right?
Right.
If your mother is a good wife, she gets that little extra power. The patriarchy is so disempowering. It disempowers women so much on a daily basis. दैट वो जो थोड़ा सा हमको लोग कहते हैं कि बहुत अच्छी बिटिया है, वो पिता का ख्याल रखती है, पापा की दुलारी है, that makes us so happy. And that women have to learn. You are a good everything. You don't need your dad to tell you that. You don't need your mother to tell you that. You don't need your sister to tell you that you're a great sister. Please, the day women stop asking for that approval and validation, their life will change. I stopped feeling that a long time back. And when I got into my marriage, वो बिल्कुल थोड़ा भी था वो disappear हो गया. Whether I was a good bahu or not. Incidentally, my mother-in-law always said that I was the best of her bahus. So the good thing is that the minute you are comfortable with yourself, the minute you understand कि नहीं हमको, I don't need to prove anything to anybody. You have to prove to yourself that you are doing your best in any relationship, whether it's a father, with a mother, with a sister, with a husband, with your work. You have to be honest with your own self and your own intentions. And I tell women that whenever you're doing anything, please test where is this motive coming from. And in Hinduism, they say, Irisha, Dvesh, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh. These are the 6 evils.
Right.
Irisha, Dvesh. So whenever you're doing something, am I doing this because I'm pushed by jealousy? Am I doing it out of hatred? Am I doing it because I'm lusting for it? Am I doing this because I wanting to manipulate this person? Just check it out.
Wow, this is so powerful, and this is something that we need to question ourselves. And this is something.
And every time you must question: am I doing this because why am I saying this to my son? Am I saying it because I'm angry? Then my anger, this is being propelled by anger, not by love. Immediately you will replace it. Am I saying this out of hatred? Am I saying this out of dislike? Do I hate this person? Am I gossiping without of this? When women begin to start looking at their actions, what is compelling them? What is propelling them? They will change.
Actually, ma'am, this is one of the aspects of emotional intelligence also, that we need to check our emotion before we act, so that our actions can be directed towards what we truly want and not be guided through those emotions. And this is truly something every human, not only females, every person should.
Everybody has to do it, but I think women should do it more because they're also bringing up children at home.
Right.
They can pass it on to their children. So when I teach my students, one of the things I teach them is, remember, ईर्ष्या, द्वेष, काम, क्रोध, लोभ, मोह. इन 6 चीजों के influence में अगर कोई भी काम करोगे, वो गड़बड़ है.
Actually.
That is not good karma.
Right.
And you should actually come from compassion. I continue to have a very good relationship with my husband. Once in 4, 5 months, he talks to me. And I've come a long way. I've done better for myself. He hasn't done that well for himself, but it's okay. We're friends. We talk. And I understand it. He was getting married a second time. And he rang me up and he said, will you come? I said, yes, I'll come, but I'm busy here. I may not get leave. And I told him 2 things. I said, don't drink and don't womanize.
Wow.
If you don't drink and you don't womanize, you'll have a successful marriage. So because those were the 2 things that were bothering me. And so I said, no woman would stay in that space. Now, it's another matter that marriage didn't work and it broke up faster than anything else. But the fact remains that he continues to talk to me. We continue to talk. So you don't become enemies, because I'm coming from a point of compassion for him. He needs to be a better human being. By misbehaving with me, he's ruining his karma.
Right.
My karma is to respond to it with my dignity and my grace. So if women begin to, and my dignity and my grace, when I've had to fight physically with people, I've been able to beat up, because that's the only option. I never beat up my husband because there was no fisticuffs. There was an occasional event of violence, not the kind in which I needed to pick up the stick and begin to beat. But I have beaten up people on the street because I felt they needed to be beaten. So that doesn't mean that I'm a lesser person. Along with my grace and my dignity, my strength to be able to respond to what that person would listen to, because I believe that what I'm doing is right. वो बहुत important. That becomes important.
Wow, ma'am, this shows how strengthened you are, how powerful you are, keeping everything in mind, like your intelligence, your spirituality, your way of looking up into life. This is, I think, that this has been your strength. And the most loveliest part of your life, which you also feel, is that the way you have added in the strength to your mother. This is something that we, as females, we don't consider it, we don't think about it. And I'm sure that she also must be very, very happy and thankful to God for having you as a daughter.
Oh, my mother always said that to me. She said once, my greatest compliment in my life has come from her. Somebody said, "Ki Dr. Saab, you are, aap gaadi chalati hain, ghumti hain." So, she said, my pet name is Nikki. So she said, "Ha, Nikki ne mujhko ye sab sikha diya." And my
Actually,
mother
this happens.
became a different person. She understood where I was coming from. A mother who would not allow me to beat boys when I was young. When I got into challenging a fight with a colleague who had abused, my mother was the first one who stood by me. And I remember I had come home and I was very disturbed and I was crying. And she sat me down and she said, "What do you want to do? Do you want to fight him?" I said, "Yes, I want to fight him." She said, "I'm putting money aside. You need to go to court. You need to fight him. Fight him. Don't cry. Crying will weaken you." That was my mother later in my life. Don't cry. Crying will weaken you. She was a very strong woman. Very strong woman. When I was young, she was part of the patriarchy. And why was she wanting me to not beat men? Because she thought, she always told me, she said, people will say, माँ ने यही सिखाया है. माँ ने लड़की को सिखाया है कि आदमियों को मारो. माँ ने. So, women themselves are trapped within the patriarchy. Educated women, earning, as she used to earn, equal to my father. All the property and the, everything that we have in our life comes out of my mother's earnings, because my father's earnings went in maintaining the family. So women, the patriarchy has such a strong grip over you that you don't realize ki kya ho raha hai, kaise ho raha hai. And so my mother's story is one. And another thing is that, a number of women, a number of girls, I've handheld thousands of girls, thousands of. And, when there are at least more than a few thousand who always have got back to me and said how their life changed. And I think that's my greatest satisfaction that comes, that, it's not just about being strong myself. It's about making everyone strong. The person on the other side, I'll immediately connect to the girl talking on the other side, whoever she is. There's this girl who called me up she called me up 3 days back from on the phone, and she said, "Look, I've come from Jamia, this, that, the other, and I've come here," and she's a Muslim girl. And she said, "I'm looking for a job, and I came to know about you. Can you help me? I've got a master's, I've got this, that." I promptly sent her 3 or 4 advertisements that were in my memory, which I knew people had taken out in degree colleges for a job. And that girl wrote back to me just this morning. She said, "I've never seen a person more compassionate than you. That you responded immediately, I could never imagine." Now, the point is, why not? Why don't we respond to the other person's story immediately if we know if I have a solution, let me give it to her. Doesn't matter that I don't know. I've never met her. I've never seen her. I don't even know what the girl looks like. Why I'm saying this to you is that all women have to come from love and compassion. It comes naturally to us, but we learn to suppress it. We must naturally handhold. We must naturally strengthen other women. We must naturally be standing in sisterhood.
This is
We should naturally be there.
this is
If
actually
you're not there, you can't strengthen yourself and you can't strengthen anybody else.
right, very true. Ma'am, this leads me to a question for you. Like, you have been into women empowerment, you have met thousands of girls, you have even helped them. So, how do you see women as far as their self belief and dreams are concerned?
Let me tell you, women, I think 90% women, maybe I'll call it 95% women, maybe more. 98% women have no self belief.
Seriously?
Because in India, ज्यादातर तो रूरल है, 95% तो women रूरल है, 5% women urban है. And urban women maybe 2% are those whose family situations and the education is helping them, and those are in the bigger towns who have self-belief. All children have dreams. Women also have great dreams. All young children have dreams. So I believe that when you're young, all of us have dreams. All of us. Every single girl has a dream.
Right.
Even if it is a dream to become a housewife, that's also a dream.
Right.
And we value that dream. कि आप हाउसवाइफ बनना चाहती हो तो एक अच्छी हाउसवाइफ बनिए. Learn how to manage. Home management is a full-time job.
Actually,
You're not getting paid for it, but you're bloody well doing a full-time job. So
right.
that's something you choose to do with your life. Well and good. But then learn to do it well. So the point is, we all have dreams. But the sad part is that women's dreams are smashed faster than anybody's. Majority of the women find their dreams smashed. And I would say that 80% women, their dreams are dashed. They are married off, or the family is not listening, and the patriarchy has such a stranglehold on their necks that they can't get out of it. And so they keep struggling and they keep struggling, and the lucky ones come out. And we women who are able to come out of it and who have been able to do something, if we see them struggling, we don't help them to come out. All you need to do is extend your hand and say, Ajao, Ajao, Ajao. I'm holding out my hand. Come, come, sweetie, come quickly. Pull her out. Make her stand and say, come, let me help you do this. Let me help you do that. Let's do this. And the woman is on her own. Then she can chart her dreams. Her self-esteem can be restored. Her self-belief can be restored. She can again start dreaming of something new. Maybe not what she dreamt when she was younger, but considering that she is now more mature, she could be having better or different dreams. So, dreaming is something so essential to every human being. Everyone should have that little innocent dream that they want to pursue. And everybody has, all women have. It's just that their dreams are quelled and quashed. My mother became a doctor and she did so many things. I remember her greatest dream in life was to learn to sing. And when she was young, she could sing. And her greatest regret also was that when she got married, my father didn't like her sing. If in front of people, she could sing on her own. So uska natija kya hua that my mother never sang. Her entire life, my mother never sang. I didn't know my mother wanted to sing. It's much later when, I think 15, 20 years back when we were just talking, and she said, she loved music. So I had bought her this Sare Gama, and, she could listen to all kinds of music from it. She loved songs. So I said, Amma, tum gaati thi? She said, मैं बहुत अच्छा गाती थी. बहुत मन था मेरे गाने का. तुम्हारे पापा को पसंद नहीं था तो मैंने नहीं गाया. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
It is something
such a small little chahat, choti si chahat. And my mother had everything in life. She had position, she had authority, she had property, she lived her life well, she lived like a queen because she was in control of her whole life. But a little dream ki hum गा पाए खुले मन से, है ना? तो हम लोग की बहुत छोटी छोटी चाहतें, small desires, small dreams, they're all squashed. But we must dream, and we must keep redreaming. We must, think of newer things that we want to do and get on with it. Don't look at the past. Something interesting that I learned in one of my spiritual journeys and my spiritual lessons is one, if in the moment you're feeling sad, you be sure you're thinking about your past. If in the moment you're feeling anxious, you're thinking about the future. So what are you doing? You're either living in the past or you're living in the future. You're not living in the present. So whenever you're, and you can do nothing about the past and you can do nothing about the future. So what should you do? Come back to the present. At this moment, I'm sitting here and talking to you. Why do I need to think about something sad? Why do I need to think about and have any anxiety? So give 100% to this moment. When you will give 100% to this moment, everything will work out. I never feel sad. And if I feel sad, it's momentary. My mother's left and she lived a full life. She lived a happy life. I did not want her to have any kind of suffering. So when she left, everybody around me was crying, but I said we should celebrate her life because she lived a full life. We are not all immortal. We will have to go. She couldn't have gone better and she achieved much in her life. So I celebrate my mother's life. And there are moments when I miss her and I cry. And then I tell myself, what are you crying about? Why are you not celebrating her life? My voice tells me. So women have to develop that inner voice, which has to remind them that, do this. This is the correct thing. Do this. But for that, you have to learn to live in the moment. I always live in the moment. I live in this moment. What I'm doing now, I'll do it to the best of my ability without any distraction, with 100% commitment. So if I'm talking to you, I'm telling you my story with 100% truth and with 100% passion. And I think that matters.
Women, that is truly evident also. Like I can completely resonate your energy, your feelings, and believe me when I say that I don't want this conversation to end, because you are something like, I'm feeling like everybody, whoever will listen to this, whoever will watch this, I'm sure they will feel like this is the essence of life. You have to live like this. These are the experiences that you are sharing from your life, but something that is very extremely precious, I would say. And these are the principles to live by, so as to lead and exemplifying life just like you. Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful that you listened with such care and that for all your warm words. I'm very grateful for giving me this opportunity to share. And it's been a great pleasure meeting you, Karanjot. And I wish you a great future and may many more dreams emerge and many more dreams come true. To all your viewers, thank you very much for having me on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But it is not yet over. Still, we need to know the formula that how do you nourish your own self-esteem? Is there any formula that you go by?
Yes. Yes. There is a formula by which you can nourish your self-esteem. And that is, something that we don't do all the time. Most people don't do is to, you must have a process where you would systematically be self-reflective. Hafte mein ek baar I jarur sit down for 20-30 minutes. What have I done this week? What was not right? What was wrong? What could I have done better? थोड़ा सा बैठते हैं खाली दिमाग से and I keep thinking. Maybe I take down a couple of points. Self-reflection is very important. Everybody should self-reflect, man or woman. Self-reflection gives you a kind of discipline. It gives you direction. It, when you are self-reflective, you stop blaming yourself for things. Forgive yourself. I just said that in the beginning. Forgive yourself. And if you get up in the morning and say, I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I'm a divine person. I'm a loving person. I'm a kind person. I'm a generous person. I'm a warm person. Say it. Say good things about yourself. We don't say good things about ourselves. We're always trying to say, कोई और बोले, कोई और बोले. मैं अपने बारे में क्या बोलूं? Well, मैं अपने बारे में बोलती हूँ. मैं बोलती हूँ, I'm a very strong person. I'm very well read. I have a lot of wisdom. All the knowledge that I had, I've converted it into wisdom, which happens when you apply it to your life. Having lots of knowledge and not applying it to life is not a wise thing to do. So self-reflection बहुत बड़ी बात. And आप ये बात याद रखिए कि you have to work on your spirituality along with the world. While you live in the world, your spiritual growth must take place, because it is this spiritual space into which you go back and plug yourself to get the energy to carry on the fight with the world. Yeah. If you can't go back and plug into your own, and it's not about going to the mandir and doing puja. It's about Your spiritual self. मंदिर जाइए तो मंदिर में आपका how does your spirit connect to your divine? To understand that that's what we are. That's why, and women must connect with themselves. Within us is so much love, so much compassion, so much nurturing, so much generosity, so much kindness. कहाँ चला गया वो सब?
Yes, we need to self-reflect, and this is one of the
Yes.
takeaways that even I'm going to apply. That yes, I need to keep one day, like one day in a week, where I need to self-reflect on my weekly activities. That's
Yeah.
truly that's great.
Everything, go through everything, and then you will see you can tweak. I need to do a little bit more social work. I need to do a little bit more. I left ye chhoot gaya, wo chhoot gaya. I need to do this more. I need to invest more time with my mother-in-law. I need to put a little more time with my son, a little more with my daughter. We are human.
Right.
And then you can prioritize, and then you can manage your life. You have to manage your life, and you have to have a very strong spiritual life.
Actually, ma'am, with
You
this,
have to
no,
rooted
this
in
is
your values.
great. This is actually a true reflection towards our own selves. This is very, very much needed to do. And with this, now I would like to ask you one question, which we ask every person, who every guest of ours, and that is, what is that one habit that you would suggest to all our women so as to adapt, so that they can grow their self-worth, they can, and so that they don't believe in other people's validation, they don't look out for external validations, that one habit.
So that one habit that I would like them to have is, I feel that we talk of empowerment. All women are empowered. But true empowerment comes when you can take your own decisions and you don't base your decisions on anybody else. You listen to everybody. All women must get into the habit of making their own decisions, number one. And all women must get into the habit of taking out 15 minutes for themselves every week. Take out time for yourself. You can't take out 1 hour because you have a lot of work. 15 minutes. Get up early. Just have a nice cup of tea. Sit out in the garden. Do nothing before you begin the day. Think of good things. Say that all good things are coming to me. I'm a wonderful person. I'm kind. I'm generous. I'm loving. Instead of thinking, I'm undergoing a divorce. This is happening to me. I'm bad. No, 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 no.
Start your
Think
day with a
positive.
positive note.
Start it with a positive note. Start it with your own self. Spend time with yourself.
Right.
It's not necessary that you should jump. Normally, women want to do urti and they jump into work. Arey bhai, give yourself 10 minutes. बैठ जाओ ना शांति से. Just sit some. Just sit some. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. All women need to sit. Just giving yourself time will give you greater self-esteem because you will think good things about yourself.
Actually, this
That's
is ma'am, this is
and,
not only important.
and take your own decisions. Take your own decisions. Even if you want to be a housewife, it should be your decision.
Right. Right.
It
This
cannot be your parents' decision. It has to be your decision.
absolutely one of the most healthiest habit which I have heard till now. This is something like we can apply from tomorrow onwards, and something that we need to have it in our life throughout, because
You can apply it from this evening. आज रात में सोने के पहले spend 5 minutes with yourself. Just sit quietly.
sure, this is something I do it because this is the reason I'm into this, because we don't give importance to this. Nobody teaches us how to have a good relationship with ourselves. Nobody teaches that there is a relationship with your own self also, and that's the reason we need to aware. Like, it is not about, yes, of course, self-care, self-love, self-awareness is quite common nowadays, but who is applying this? Who is applying it in the right way?
Do you understand what is self-awareness? Do you understand what is self-care and love? People think putting beauty products is self-care.
Right.
No. You have to nurture your inner self, the innocent you, which is inside you, the child in you. And also, another thing, Karanjot, I would hope that all the people watching this show will teach their own children, whether it is a boy or it is a girl, to do this.
Yes.
Teach them how important it is to connect to your own self.
This is
Our grandparents used to do it. Our parents did it. They used to make us sit and pray, and they talk of important things. They talk of values. The present generation has stopped doing that, and that is why this unease.
Absolutely. This has been truly amazing listening to your views, listening to all of your stories, your principles. It has been an amazing time. And with this, we don't end the show, but there is something, a surprise coming up for you. Now we are going to head up for the rapid fire round.
Okay,
Okay, so I'll be asking you some questions and you have to be very quick in answering them. Whatever comes in your
all
mind, you have to be the
I
answer.
will do that. Okay.
Okay, so my first question is, when are you the most productive? Which part of the day, morning, evening, afternoon, night, which part of the day are you the most productive?
I think I'm the most productive in the morning.
Wow. I could recognize, I could feel that vibe that yes, you are.
Morning person, yes.
And who is your inspiration and why?
I have multiple inspirations, and I've been inspired by multiple people in my life, a lot of women and a lot of men also. So I think I cannot pin any one person, but I have multiple inspirations. And let me tell you another interesting thing. I'm very inspired by some of the young people in my life. At the moment, my greatest inspiration comes from my nephew. He's a young
Okay.
boy who lives in America, England. He's a British citizen, but my sister's son, and he now lives in India, and he's working with the in the NGO sector because he wants to work in the social sector. But what his he inspires me to learn technology
Wow.
because he's constantly. I find him very inspirational. He says, "Mossy, as you will age, you need to do this, you need to learn this, you need to do this." I find young people also inspirational because at various stages in your life, various people inspire.
It is all in
And I
our
find,
head. Whether we want to be
yeah,
inspired, whether we want to be a learner,
yeah,
that's
I
how
really,
you.
I love being a learner and I love learning, and he's inspiring me these days a lot.
That's
For the
great.
past 10 years, he's been a great inspiration for me.
That's awesome. Now, ma'am, what is your biggest flaw?
My biggest flaw is I'm impatient at times. I think I should be more patient. I get impatient with my own self, not with others. With others, I may be patient, very patient. I'm very impatient with my own self. I want to do things very quickly, and then I have to tell myself, calm down, it'll happen. Be patient. I've gradually learned it, but being impatient is something that I need to get rid of.
Wow, that
Not
is
a good.
so honest of you, ma'am. With this, give me three words to describe yourself as a woman.
Myself as a woman. Hmm. Okay. So I was gifted this mug. I have no words to describe myself. I have multiple words, but I found these. I was gifted a mug by one of my students in which it was written N, right? Because
Okay.
my name is Nishi. So there were some words with N about my character or myself, which were written on them.
Okay.
And I find that those words are very interesting. And I think many of them are very true. One of them is noticeable, N
Uh-huh.
say noticeable. The other was nifty, Nifty.
Okay.
And the one more N was, I think, and it says naughty.
Oh wow. It is like
So,
you have taken up in every sphere of life, you have an adjective to your name.
and there were many, there were five or six, but I thought this was nice that the nifty one, the noticeable one, and I thought that was really nice.
No, this is actually nice. It is
And it
really
also said
nice.
nice. It says noticeable, nifty, nice, naughty. But I'd like to believe that I'm a little naughty.
Everyone should be naughty. It is like one
But
should be naughty. It is like you have
if you
to
ask,
bring out the child in you. It has to be alive.
if you ask other people, they would say she's nice. They would like to use the nice rather than.
Okay. So my last question to you is that how would you spend your time if you're not working?
So I'll spend my time devoted to the care and concern of others. So that's why I'm into social work. I'm into young children. I cannot, if I have nothing to do, I'll still be working for others because I think the purpose of life and the philosophy of my life has been if you are of service and use to others, stop worrying about yourself. Worry about others, things will happen to you.
This is
So
so
my life is
powerful.
concerned with others, and I'll be happy doing things for someone or the other, my Mali or my someone or for some girls' institution. I have lots of work to do, and so I'm very happy. I'm never going to be without work.
So that's
I'm
great, and
always
I hope everybody learns to be like you, wherein we can devote time to ourselves as well as to our
to
people
others.
who need us.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
This is great.
Thank you, Karanjot. It's been so nice being with you. Thank you. I've just not felt it was like an interview.
Thank you so much. It wasn't a compliment because it is not supposed to be like an interview. It is like because of you, because of your life, there are going to be people who can actually feel what it should be like to be, right? How can we be a source of inspiration? How can we create a life wherein we also feel happy and we are also on the service part? So this is something that we are here for, and thank you so much for taking out the time from your busy schedule and sharing such brilliant pieces of advice and wisdom. I'm overwhelmed to hear from you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
I'm humbled. I'm very humbled by your good words and warm words. Thank you so much. Ever grateful for this opportunity to talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we will meet with in another episode with some other people who will inspire you to be the best of you so that you create a good relationship with yourself and bring out the beautiful life that is waiting for you. Till then, bye.